I am presenting to you the assault weapons ban and the ban on large capacity magazines that is the substance of House Bill 219, which is a bill that I filed with several co-sponsors for this legislative session, and also is identical to a bill I sponsored in the 2017 legislative session. The reason why I'm bringing this amendment forward is this is a very, very important part, a critical part of the conversation if we are going to be serious about tackling the public health crisis that is gun violence in this state and in this country. We know that military-style assault weapons, like the ones that are banned in this amendment, are weapons of war that were designed for war. They were never designed or intended to be used by civilians, but we see over and over again a disturbing trend, which is that as mass shootings are on the rise in this state and in this country, these weapons of war, military-style assault weapons, have become the gold standard for mass murderers. Weapons like the one that was used at Sandy Hook Elementary School, where 21 first graders were murdered in their first grade classroom, would be banned under this bill. The same or similar weapon that was used at the Pulse nightclub on June 12, 2016 in Orlando that murdered 49 of our friends would also be banned under this bill. It would ban weapons like the one used in Las Vegas that killed 59 innocent civilians. And of course, it would ban the infamous AR-15, which was used to murder 17 innocent people in Parkland not too long ago. We also know that support for an assault weapons ban in large capacity magazines is very, very popular in this state. Recent polling from Senate Republicans has shown that not only do 58% of Florida gun owners support a ban on assault weapons, but 2/3 of Floridians support the same measure. Why did I file this? Well, of course, I represent House District number 49 in Orlando, Florida. I was elected in November of 2016. It was the first bill that I filed because my community, the Orlando community, was absolutely ripped apart by the gun violence and the type of carnage and destruction that assault weapons cause. This has also been the rallying cry of students, of teachers, and everyday Floridians who have spoken out in the wake of the Parkland shooting and many other mass shootings in our recent history. The reality, members, is that there is no single end-all solution to the epidemic of gun violence. I am not claiming, and I never have claimed, that a ban on assault weapons and large capacity magazines is an end-all solution. It is one part of the puzzle, but it is a major part of the solution to the problem that we have in this country, which is a gun problem. Florida is number one in the nation for mass shootings. We have a responsibility to debate this, and I'm ready to take your questions.
Marion Hammer, NRA, United Sportsmen of Florida.
Despite what a lot of people may think, they don't know what they don't know. When you read this bill very carefully, you will be hard-pressed to find any firearm that is not banned under this amendment, and we oppose this amendment. Thank you.
Members, this is such an important part of what we need to be doing moving forward. It is what the students have demanded. It is what the public has demanded of us. There's a few things that I want to address. First, what Representative Eagle just said about this amendment being disingenuous. This amendment is anything but disingenuous. This is deeply, deeply personal to me. You know, I was thinking about the same story in the Atlantic that Representative Berman brought up, which are anecdotes from the radiologist in Parkland who described at length some of the horrors that they discovered when they were treating some of these victims, and they've had some of these victims brought to them. And they specifically said, and I'll quote, organs that looked like overripe melons smashed by a sledgehammer that were bleeding extensively, unlike anything any handgun injury had ever created. Handgun injuries are like bullets leaving lacerations through an organ like the liver. It appears as a linear, thin, gray bullet track through the organ. There may be bleeding and some bullet fragments, but it's survivable. It's not anything like this. Members, months and months and months ago, before the Parkland shooting ever happened, I agonized late at night when I filed a public records request to the Orange County Coroner's Office so that I could personally review the 49 autopsies from Pulse. The reason I say I agonized is because I couldn't sleep after I read some of these autopsies and what had happened to some of these victims. These are the consequences of assault weapons. I'll tell you what, I know individuals who were shot 8, 9, 10 times at Pulse. Each wound totally unsurvivable. Autopsies that read perforation of the right lung, the left lung, perforation of the aorta, the liver, the small intestine, the stomach, the esophagus, the trachea, the gallbladder. That was one victim. These weapons of war are absolutely catastrophic. They cause destruction in communities unlike anything you can ever imagine. I really feel for what the community in Parkland is going through and what some of our colleagues who represent those areas, not only what they've experienced so far in helping their communities heal, but what is also yet to come. What I know is yet to come. Because we went through it in Orlando. I ask you, do you know what it's like to see a mother searching for her son after they've heard about a mass shooting that happened in their school or in a nightclub or at the airport? Do you know what it's like months later to get a call from the FBI because the loved one who you lost, their personal belongings and clothes are now available for you to come and pick up, bullet-ridden, blood-soaked? Do you know what it's like to have social workers in your community call your legislative office to tell you that the latest body camera footage from the mass shooting in your community has been so traumatic for some of the surviving family members that they had no choice but to Baker Act mothers and fathers of the victims who were re-traumatized again and again and again? Do you know what it's like to spend time with first responders who can't even hear a cell phone ringing because it brings them back to that place? It brings them back to the nightclub where all they heard were cell phones ringing in the pockets of 49 victims whose family members were desperately trying to find out where they were. What I agonize over is what the pain and suffering that this community is going through because of assault weapons, but also what is yet to come. Members, please vote up on this amendment. We owe it to our constituents. We owe it to the 17 in Parkland. We owe it to the 49 at Pulse. We owe it to the countless other victims of gun violence by assault weapons. Thank you.